Welcome. Whether the Unitarian Church of Evanston is your spiritual home or you are seeking comfort and connection in these uncertain times, we are grateful you are with us. We are an inclusive and welcoming community seeking truth and love and striving to nurture the human spirit for a world made whole. We are guided by our many principles and values, which remind us in every moment and through every challenge that each of us matters and that we are all connected through the vast and beautiful web of existence together, our oneness, our kinship with one another, and may we hold one another in heart and mind with tenderness and careful attention. There are many, many links of connection in the comments section just underneath this video that you're watching, including credits for the readings, a link to virtual religious education, links for donations, and a link to be added to our email newsletter list. And just to sign in if you'd like to. A few announcements. The Real team is sponsoring a read of the book White Fragility. Why is it so hard for white people to talk about racism by Robin DiAngelo? Using a UUA discussion guide written with white people in mind, participants will be invited to work with and learn skills to disrupt racism as a Unitarian Universalist faith commitment. The class will be held virtually for 3 consecutive Tuesday evenings starting July 21st. Please see this work's newsletter for further information. The Real team has also committed to supporting some of our community partners who have been most impacted by COVID and the ongoing civil unrest in our cities. Neighborhoods have been affected by police violence, personal and organizational death threats, loss of jobs, childcare, and resources, especially needed this week are baby formulas of all kinds, sunscreen and other personal care products, snacks, pasta sauce, bottled water and juices, pet supplies. Please see the show more under the video and the weekly newsletter for a link to purchase items. If you have any questions, feel free to contact Becky Crawford. Thank you for your support. The ongoing all-church Zoom meeting will be at 5:30 p.m. We'll send a reminder email early in the afternoon on Wednesday with a link. We hope to see you there. We also hold a virtual coffee hour and conversation after the service for 30 minutes on Zoom. If you can find the link, again, in that show more section underneath this video, or most likely underneath the video, or in the newsletter, please note that the link this time is a little different than the times past, so please use that one. And now I invite you to get your chalices ready and set a place for yourself and your family as we join in beloved community. We are so pleased this week to have with us the Reverend Derek Jackson as our guest preacher. Peace.
Good morning. I am the Reverend Derek Jackson, and I'm happy to lead the Unitarian Church of Evanston in worship today. I currently serve as the Director of Ministries for Lifelong Learning for the UU Ministers Association and am an affiliated community minister with Second Unitarian Church of Chicago. It is good that we can be virtually here together. Our opening words this morning are by Muriel Rukeyser. Some say good morning. Some say God bless. Some say possibly. Some say yes. Some say never. Some say unless. It's so stupid and lovely to rush into yes. Some say go local. Some go express. Some can't wait to answer yes. Some complain of strain and stress. The answer may be no for yes. Some like failure. Some like success. Some like yes, 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 yes. Open your eyes. Dream, but don't guess. Your biggest surprise comes after yes.
Yesterday, a child came out to water, caught a dragonfly inside a jar. Fearful when the sky was full of thunder, and tearful at the falling of a star. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look and hide from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle game. Then the child moved 10 times round the seasons, skated over 10 clear frozen streams. Words like when you're older must appease him, and promises of someday make his dreams. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look and hide from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle game. 16 springs and 16 summers gone now. Cartwheels turn to cartwheels through the town, and they tell him, take your time, it won't be long now, till you drag your feet too slow in circles down. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look and hide from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle game. So the years went by, and now the boy is 20, though his dreams of blossom grandeur coming true. There'll be new dreams, maybe better dreams and plenty, before the last revolving year is through. And the seasons, they go round and round, and the painted ponies go up and down. We're captive on a carousel of time. We can't return, we can only look and hide from where we came, and go round and round and round in a circle game. And go round and round and around in a circle game.
We light our chalice with
As the Larson Erf family lights the chalice in northern Illinois, we recognize that we are on the traditional homelands of the Council of the Three Fires, the Ojibwe, the Potawatomi Nations, and many other tribes, such as the Miami, Menominee, Ho-Chunk, Sauk, and Fox, also called this area home. We name these in honor and respect.
We light our chalice with these words by Hafiz. I rarely let the word no escape, because it is so plain to my soul that God has shouted, yes, 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 to every luminous movement in existence.
Please join in saying the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Please join in singing, along with the recording of our congregation singing this beloved hymn 346, Come Sing a Song with Me.
Today's story for all ages is Ish by Peter H. Reynolds. Ramon loved to draw anytime, anything, anywhere. One day, Ramon was drawing a vase of flowers. His brother Leon leaned over his shoulder. Leon burst out laughing. "What is that?" he asked. Ramon could not even answer. He just crumpled up the drawing and threw it across the room. Leon's laughter haunted Ramon. He kept trying to make his drawing look right, but they never did. After many months and many crumpled sheets of paper, Ramon put his pencil down. "I'm done." Marisol, his sister, was watching him. "What do you want?" he snapped. "I was watching you draw," she said. Ramon sneered. "I'm not drawing. Go away." Marisol ran away, but not before picking up a crumpled sheet of paper. Hey, come back here with that! Ramon raced after Marisol up the hall and into her room. He was about to yell, but fell silent when he saw his sister's walls. He stared at the crumpled gallery. This is one of my favorites, Marisol said, pointing. That was supposed to be a vase of flowers, Ramon said, but it doesn't look like one. Well, it looks vase-ish, she exclaimed. Vase-ish? Ramon looked closer. Then he studied all the drawings on Marisol's walls and began to see them in a whole new way. They do look ish, he said. Ramon felt light and energized. Thinking ishly allowed his ideas to flow freely. He began to draw what he felt, loose lines, quickly springing out without worry. Ramon once again drew and drew the world around him. Making an ish drawing felt wonderful. He filled his journals, tree-ish, house-ish, boat-ish, afternoon-ish, fish-ish, sun-ish. Ramon realized he could draw ish feelings too. Peace-ish, silly-ish, excited-ish. His ish art inspired ish writing. He wasn't sure if he was writing poems, but he knew they were poem-ish. Ponder, pond, ponder, dream yonder, pond, pond, yond, yond, gleam, wander. One spring morning, Ramon had a wonderful feeling. It was a feeling that even his ish words and ish drawings could not capture. He decided not to capture it. Instead, he simply savored it. And Ramon lived ishfully ever after.
Thank you, Kathy. These are the joys and sorrows that have been submitted through the Google form found on the homepage of our website. Alternatively, you can always send an email to either myself or Reverend Eileen. Kathy Underwood shares a sorrow in our family for our daughter Savannah and her husband Drew. Drew's mom died on Wednesday night after a 5-year battle with breast cancer. She was my age, just 57 years young. Annette Wallace, my last remaining aunt, turned 98 last week. Miss Marjorie Payne, my Auntie Margie, is the charming and always well-coiffed widow of Reverend John Payne of Louisville, Kentucky, and my daddy's only sister. She lives in a facility where she sadly can no longer fish, but is always cheerful. Kristen Larson shares that Craig's evaluation for heart transplants is progressing and things look positive. We might know as early as Tuesday if he is accepted. He'll stay in the hospital until he gets a new heart. Cards to the house are most welcome. Many thanks to those who've reached out or responded to my needs. We know that these are not the only joys and sorrows that are on our hearts. Let us take a moment of quiet now to read to ourselves the joys and sorrows that have been added to the chat. We hold these together in care and tenderness, and I invite you into this silence, to say aloud the names of those who are you are heart, those who are sick or have died. As we let their names gather in the winds, may they be held by this community that knows no walls. We hold these as well as the joys and sorrows that remain unspoken. Together, we share our celebrations and lessen the burden of our grief. I invite you now to join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation as I read this writing from ancient mystic Gregory of Nyssa. As you came near this marvel, seeing that the water was endless as it constantly grabbed and poured forth, yet you could never say that you had seen all the water. How could you see what was still hidden in the bosom of the earth? Hence, no matter how long you might stay at the spring, you would always be beginning to see the water. It is the same. It is the same with one who fixes their gaze on the infinite beauty of love. It is constantly being discovered anew, and it is always seen as something new and strange in comparison with what the mind has already understood. Singing along with Karina and Gregory, May I Be Filled with Loving Kindness, number 1031 in your teal hymnal if you have one at home.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be whole. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
Our reading this morning is Tina Fey's Rules of Improvisation by Tina Fey. The first rule of improvisation is agree. Always agree and say yes. When you're improvising, this means you are required to agree with whatever your partner has created. So if we're improvising and I say, freeze, I have a gun. And you say, that's not a gun, it's your finger. You're pointing your finger at me. Our improvised scene has ground to a halt. But if I say, "Freeze, I have a gun." And you say, "The gun I gave you for Christmas?" Then we have started a scene because we have agreed that my finger is, in fact, a Christmas gun. Now, obviously, in real life, you're not always going to agree with everything everyone says. But the rule of agreement reminds you to respect what your partner has created, and to at least start from an open-minded place. Start with a yes and see where that takes you. As an improviser, I always find it jarring when I meet someone in real life whose first answer is no. "No, we can't do that. No, that's not in the budget. No, I will not hold your hand for $1. What kind of way is that to live? The second rule of improvisation is not only to say yes, but yes and. You are supposed to agree and then add something of your own. If I start a scene with, "I can't believe it's so hot in here," and you just said, "Yeah," we're kind of at a standstill. But if I say, "I can't believe it's so hot in here," and you say, "What did you expect? We're in hell." Or if I say, "I can't believe it's so hot in here," and you say, "Yes, this can't be good for the wax figures." Or if I say, "I can't believe it's so hot in here," and you say, "I told you we shouldn't have crawled into this dog's mouth." Now we're getting somewhere. To me, yes and means don't be afraid to contribute. It's your responsibility to contribute. Always make sure you're adding something to the discussion. Your initiations are worthwhile.
UCE remains a vital part of the world and our community, and because we continue to need one another in the blessings of community, we take this time to invite you to give to our shared plate. Please give as generously as you are able, and may what you give bring you joy. You can text to give, send in a check, or give from our website. If you send in a check, please indicate in the memo line what your check is for.
Doors of opportunity for women who are homeless in Chicago, supporting housing and services, offering women the key to healing, achieving their goals, and moving on from the experience of homelessness. Please give as generously as you can to this, our shared plate offering this month. Also, the Social Justice Council is now accepting your suggestions for shared plate offering. There's an application that you can find with a link in the newsletter. These new offerings will start this next year. Now a few words from Gregory about the composer that he selected for our service today.
Today I will play for you two pieces by one of my most favorite composers, Ennio Morricone, that passed away just a few days ago. Ennio Morricone was an Italian composer that wrote over 400 scores for cinema and television, as well as over 100 classical works. He collaborated with Italian, French, and American film directors. His score to The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, released in 1966, was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. His filmography includes over 70 award-winning films, to name a few: A Fistful of Dollars, Once Upon a Time in America, The Mission, The Untouchables, Mission to Mars, Bugsy, Disclosure, In the Line of Fire, Ripley's Game. In 2016, Morricone received his Academy Award for the score to Quentin Tarantino's film The Hateful Eight, at the time becoming the oldest person ever to win a competitive Oscar. His other achievements include 3 Grammy Awards and 3 Golden Globe Awards. Both tunes I recorded for today are from Giuseppe Tornatore's film Cinema Paradiso. The offertory piece is the main theme from the movie, and at the conclusion of the service you'll hear the love theme.
In times like these, we need to have practices that sustain us, things that ground us, connect us, bring us joy. One of my practices is improvisation. I have been involved in improv in one way or another for almost 20 years. I first became involved in improv through playback theater, which is a form of improv where we invite the audience to share stories, and then we offer those stories back through sound and movement and improv. I did that at the beginning of my seminary learning during the first few years, and after that our playback troupe disbanded. And so I kept using playback in class projects and kept it alive in many different ways. After I graduated from seminary and started in ministry, I was invited to be a part of Healing Moments, which is a ministry for caregivers of people with Alzheimer's, where we teach improv skills to them as a way of learning to be with the person that they're caring for. And so this was a very practical way of using improv in ministry. And I'm still involved with that organization today. When I taught at Meadsville Lombard several years ago, I had the idea of having a course that integrated ministry and theology and the arts. And I came up with the course Ministry as Improv, where we learned basic improv skills and learn how to apply them in ministerial settings, ways to engage and be present with each other. You see, for me, life is improv. But we never really know what's going to happen next. We have ideas of what's going to happen. We have plans in our head. But we don't know. We just respond to what is given to us. We live an improv life. And so I want to cultivate that and be intentional about that improv. It's not as scary as we might think. See, most of us, we are introduced to improv through shows like Whose Line Is It Anyway? These improv games that show off skill, and it seems very frightening. And as someone who does improv, some of those times of those things seem very frightening. But I'm inviting you to engage in a deeper sense of improv. Embrace an improv spirituality to ground and center. See, improv in many ways is a mindfulness practice. It requires you to be fully present to what is going on. And central to the spirituality, as we learned from Tina Fey in the reading, is saying yes. It is saying what is happening, is accepting it as it is. It is seeing what is going on as the reality for the moment. To engage what is and what can be. To be fully present. The improv guru, Keith Johnstone, writes, "There are people who prefer to say yes, and there are people who prefer to say no. Those who say yes are rewarded by the adventures they have, and those who say no are rewarded by the safety they attain. There are far more no-sayers than yes-sayers. But you can train one type to behave like the other." So, take a moment to think about yourself. Are you a yes-sayer or a no-sayer? There's no wrong answer in this. Just take a moment. Now think, what would it be like if you could be both? It could give you an opportunity to know when are those places to set boundaries, to be safe, but also open you up to taking risk, having an adventure, seeing what could be possible. Saying yes is about, as Tina Fey put it, respect what your partner has created. It's grounded in respect that we're in a conversation with another, we are offering respect to where they are, what they are going, by saying, yes, that is real for them. That is their reality. You don't necessarily have to agree with it, but you have to say yes to where they are, that is the place where they are. It's about acceptance, accepting what is going on, what is happening at the moment. Rumi writes, "Learn the alchemy true beings know. The moment you accept what troubles you've been given, the door opens." And what Rumi is talking about is that when we can accept what's going on and stop trying to pretend that it's not there, put all this energy into what it is not, there becomes space for something new to appear, for other options. We free up our mind, we free up our hearts, we free up space for new options. One thing that I learned from my time with Healing Moments was that studies show that the only thing that can reduce caregiver stress is acceptance. So when caregivers can actually accept that this is the situation their loved one is, that this is the situation, it can relieve stress. It lifts the weight off of their shoulders. Let me tell you a story from our founder, Jade Angelica. She was playing bridge with her mother. And her mother had Alzheimer's, and this was the first time that she was able to spend time with her mother since the diagnosis, and she was giving her sister a break from caregiving. And so Jade and her mother were having a wonderful time, and they start playing bridge. And Jade had been playing bridge since she was little. And so they're playing bridge, and all of a sudden her mother says, "Well, who taught you how to play?" Now Jade knew that her mother taught her how to play, but so wasn't sure how to respond to this. And so she just says, "Well, you did." And her mother says, No, I didn't." And Jade said, "Yes, you did." And then they start going back and forth. "No, you didn't." "Yes, I did." Until Jade decides to just deflect the whole conversation and say, "It's your turn." And so they continue playing bridge for a while. And then the memory comes back to her mother and asks the question again, "No, really, who taught you how to play?" And Jade, guided by some sort of divine inspiration, says to her mother, "My mother did." And her mother says, "Oh, I didn't know Aunt Stella knew how to play." Now, this made Jade realize that she was being cast as her cousin. And it shifted the story. And so they started to have a conversation about Aunt Stella and what did she like to bake. And it shifted the frustration that had been in the first conversation to an opportunity to get to know more about her mother and her aunt. By accepting the situation and accepting the role that she had been cast by her mother, she was able to release the stress of the situation. Now, you don't have to necessarily be in a full agreement or liking when you accept. Nathaniel Brandon writes, accepting does not necessarily mean liking, enjoying, or condoning. I can accept what is and be determined to evolve from there. It is not acceptance but denial that leaves me stuck. When we accept, it gives us a place to grow, a place from which to move. But when we get stuck in that denial, we are blocked. There's nowhere to go. You can't have a conversation if you say something and the person just completely denies you, that says no. There's nowhere to go. But if you can accept, if you can say yes, it provides a springboard for something new. So in an improv, saying yes doesn't mean you always have to say the word yes. You can say no as long as you are accepting the offer that the person is giving you, accepting the reality in the world that you have been placed. And if you can go from there, you have someplace to go. But if you are actually denying the very existence of where things are, then you are, and we call this an improv, you're blocking. You are preventing movement. Now in improv, we don't just stop with yes. I mean, yes is good and acceptance is important. But the second rule, as Tina Fey writes, is yes and. This is when we bring our own contribution to the conversation, to the situation. It's a reminder that we are a part of what's going on. We are not passive consumers. We are to engage fully. And so when we say yes, we take it and move it forward. That we have some responsibility to be part of the movement. We don't just sit and say yes. We say yes, and then what is next? So, like in the reading, when Tina Fey gives the offer of "it's hot in here," just to say yes, it's hot doesn't help any. But to add something like where we are or who we're in conversation with, so yes, we're in hell, or yes, we are in a dog's mouth. I mean, that gives a direction for the conversation. We are adding something, a piece into it. And so in an improv spirituality, we learn to accept what is, and then we move to add to it, which might be shifting the direction. But we are accepting that this is the place that we're starting from. It's not a place of thinking that we are stuck in where we are. That is not the yes and. The yes says, okay, I see where this is the place we're starting from, and now I'm going to start to move to the place where I want us to be. And we continue that conversation, and we bring that into our world of how we interact with one another. It creates a space of engaging, of being in relationship that's real and honest and deep. It moves us from the surface, but to go deeper. That and requires us to go deeper. It opens up a space to recognize that people with opposite beliefs from ours still have inherent worth and dignity. And yet, we don't necessarily have to be in full agreement, but we can recognize that this is where they are. Now I see where they are. I can accept that's where they are, and let's have a conversation to move in a different direction. Or to be able to say, this is where they are. I know they're not going to be able to move from that place, but I'm not going to wish or pretend that they are in a different place. It's accepting and then seeing where that takes us. And improv spirituality allows us to sit and be present to all that is going around us, to say yes to what we see, to what we experience, the smells, the tastes, the touch, all of our senses, saying yes to all of those things. And engage them, to notice and be fully present. I think of mindfulness meditation as an improv meditation. It's about being present. And we can bring that into our everyday lives. What possibilities could there be? How deeper could our relationships be? How stronger could our conversations be? I invite you to say yes. Yes, and. Just try it. Maybe just for a few minutes a day. Then try a few hours. Then daily, then weekly, then monthly. As you bring it into your life and see what it has to offer you. May you be filled with a life of yes. Blessed be.
As Sue, Griffin, and Reed extinguish the chalice, please join in saying these words. We carry with us the warmth of community, the light of truth, and the fire of commitment until we are together again. Please join us in one final hymn with Morgan and Gregory, number 10 tour, When the Spirit Says Do.
Got to do when the Spirit says do. When the Spirit says do, you've got to do, oh Lord. You got to do when the Spirit says do. 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 You've got to sing when the Spirit says sing. You got to sing when the Spirit says sing. When the Spirit says sing, you gotta sing, oh Lord. You gotta sing when the Spirit says sing. 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 You've got to dance when the Spirit says dance. You got to dance when the Spirit says dance. When the Spirit says dance, you gotta dance, oh Lord. You gotta dance when the Spirit says dance. 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 Spirit said dance. Spirit says dance. You got to laugh when the Spirit says laugh. You got to laugh when the Spirit says laugh. When the Spirit says laugh, you gotta laugh, oh Lord. You gotta laugh when the Spirit says laugh. 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 shout. You gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. When the Spirit says shout, you gotta shout, oh Lord. You gotta shout when the Spirit says shout. 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 Spirit says shout.
My friends, let us close with these words by Dag Hammarskjöld. For all that has been, thanks. For all that will be, yes. May you be thankful for all that you have and say yes to what is possible. Blessed be.